All right, so good morning, good afternoon, depending on what school you're at. So this is an 8th grade video for the Adams-Otis, or excuse me, Onis Treaty, and also the Monroe Doctrine. So fun fact, I've been teaching middle school for 5 years now, 5.5 actually. With that, this is the farthest I've ever got. So this is awesome. So it's new stuff that I get to teach. It's a lot of fun for me. So things I'm not in the classroom, but it is what it is. If no one's told you, my wife and I were expecting a child. Hopefully she'll be here by the time you watch this video. When I return, I will gladly show pictures of her. It'll be great. So, but anyway, we're going to dive right into it. It's going to be just like last time for the most part. So this time it will be a little different. The first time you watch the video, I just want you to watch it. You'll have the PowerPoint. There will be, during the middle, you'll do like I see, I think, I wonder, and you'll fill that out. Excuse me, but for the most part, you're just going to follow along. Then you're going to start it all over and you're going to watch it again. That time you'll pause it, you'll write in what you need to, do anything, go back. That way I know you're really getting a grasp of the video instead of maybe it going too fast. You can actually just watch it. I'm not going to say enjoy it because I don't know if you like it or not, but you can go back. And also remember that you can go back at home. This magical thing, it's called a cell phone. I know you all have one. Use it, go home and watch this video if you need to. We're going to flip it. All right, let's pull it up. All right, so President James Monroe is going to be after James Madison, and this is where we'll be at today. So hopefully when we got to finish up with the War of 1812, we're talking about nationalism. We haven't, so we are skipping ahead. If we are, it is what it is. You'll be okay. So for James Monroe, the big things you got to know is the Adams-Onis Treaty as well as the effects of the Monroe Doctrine. So the Adams-Onis Treaty, that's what we're going to start off with Tennessee State Standard 8.32. The Tennessee State Standard says, identify and locate the changed boundaries of the U.S. as a result of the Convention of 1818 and the Adams-Onis Treaty. Your learning target. Students will be able to explain the results of the Convention of 1818 and the Adams-Onis Treaty in order to locate and identify the changing boundaries of the U.S. So we're going to be talking about land. Now, big land that's been brought up few times here and there with our 13 colonies. Even though we're in America, we're in the United States now, it's not the colonies, was Florida. And that's the big issue that we're going to be talking about with this right in here. So we got all this. We got Georgia, which was one of the original 13, and then above that we got South Carolina and then North Carolina. But Florida was always just kind of there. So who owned Florida at the time? That was Spain. Now, we have talked about the Louisiana Purchase and all that. It's not the state. Remember, that's a big confusing thing. People think of Louisiana Purchase, they just think of the state of Louisiana and New Orleans. No, actually, Louisiana Purchase is a whole bunch of land. So there's going to be a big argument about what is Florida controlled under, who owns what. All right, so who owns Florida? Spain owned colonies east and west of Florida. So they kind of, parts of in the east part of Florida and the west part of Florida, Spain controls. In 1810, American settlers in West Florida rebelled against the Spanish rule, so they began fighting. The United States government argued that West Florida was part of Louisiana Purchase. So, even though I kind of did a spoiler alert, what was the Louisiana Purchase? So, pause the video and talk to your neighbor now. Tell them what it is. All right, so, like we said before, Louisiana Purchase was all that land that Jefferson got from Napoleon. Well, if you didn't tell your neighbor, now we did. All right, so these parts right here, they're arguing that this was part of Louisiana Purchases. This was not part of Florida. So the United States government is saying that that land is, the settlers should be able to fight for it. That, they shouldn't have to fight for it. That should be just their land. All right, so who owns Florida continued. From 1810 to 1812, the United States control of sections of West Florida. The territory claimed by the United States reached west to the borders of Louisiana and Mississippi. I do apologize, was who owns Florida, but that was some mess up. But anyway, the territory claimed by the United States reached west of the borders of Louisiana and Mississippi. Spain objected to losing part of the West Florida, but took no action against the United States. So they're upset, but they're not really going to start a war over. They don't really want to fight America, but they are letting it be known that they do think it's messed up. All right, so the Seminoles. Seminoles is a Native American tribe. Native American living in Spanish East Florida sometimes raided American settlers in Georgia. So they're going through Georgia. Like we look at our map, so you guys got a visual. We got Georgia. So on the east side of Florida, so these Seminole tribes are going up and messing with Georgia settlers. General Andrew Jackson was ordered to stop these raids. We talked about Andrew Jackson with the War of 1812. The reason that New Orleans was won, why it was defended, because of him. He's a big deal. They even have statues of Andrew Jackson down in New Orleans, still there. Even Fort Jackson in South Carolina, an Army base, is named after Andrew Jackson. I was actually there this summer. So, number 3, Jackson took orders and pursued the Seminoles into Florida. So he's going to go after them. In 1818, General William McIntosh led Creek allies against Seminoles in Georgia. The Creek are another Native American tribe. He's going to lead them, and they're going to fight the Seminoles in Georgia. So a lot of people are fighting the Seminoles. You got General Andrew Jackson, you got General William McIntosh leading the Native American tribe, the Creek, all against the Seminoles. After chasing the Seminoles, General Jackson and his troops moved further into West Florida. They see Spanish forts in Pensacola and San Marcos. So, give you guys a visual. Got General Andrew Jackson. Right? This is him older, not as young, leading into battle. But so he's chasing the Seminoles. He's chasing them into East Florida. Now he's going into West Florida. Now he's even going into, or since he's going into West Florida, he's seizing Spanish forts at Pensacola and San Marcos. So he's done his thing against Spanish at New Orleans. Now he's going to do the chasing the Seminoles, and now he's going after other Spanish forts. So he's all over the place. Another picture of him. He's just a big deal. You need to know him for Tennessee history. He will become a president, but he was a reason that War of 1812 that they were able to win. So he's just a big deal. All right, so this is a Seminole tribe picture that I pulled up. As the Seminoles continue, Secretary of State Adams. So not the John Adams that we think of. He's long gone. We're no longer with President John Adams. So the Secretary of State right now, if you could, though, tell your neighbor what the Secretary of State does. Hopefully you told your neighbor that the Secretary of State is the cabinet member for the president who deals with foreign affairs. Secretary of State Adams did not authorize Jackson's actions, but did not stop or punish Jackson. So Secretary of State Adams is not really mad at Jackson. He's like, look, you shouldn't have done it, but I'm not going to punish you. It's not necessarily a bad thing because we wanted to show Spain that we were better than them and had a better military. With this, you have the Adams-Onis Treaty. Jackson's raid demonstrated American military strength compared to Spain. So we're just showing them once again, hey, we've got the bigger military once again, so you were really not the one to mess with. Spain did not want a war and wanted to settle the dispute. So this would lead to the Adams-Onis Treaty. These are some things that you need to know with the Adams-Onis Treaty. It was in 1819. Spain ceded all claims of ownership to both East and West Florida. Spain's given up both sides of Florida. Gave up claims to Oregon country in the Pacific Northwest. So think of Oregon. I'm going to pull up a map so you can have a better visual. The United States agreed to Spanish control of Texas. So with this, America is going to get East and West Florida, all of Florida, and then we're going to get parts of the Pacific Northwest out of the Adams-Onis Treaty. So I'll decide this on the second go around. If you could make like a little chart and just put Adams-Onis Treaty, and then like make a circle and then just draw 2 lines saying that this is what they got, or B and C. And then with D, the United States agreed to Spanish control of Texas. So that's parts of Texas. So we'll actually get to the Texas Revolution where we'll talk about where we go to war with Mexico. So that'll be on further down the line. All right, so this is a bit better visual for you. All right, so this right here is New Spain. I know we think of Texas, we just think of this area, but it's going to be parts of this. We got all of this area right here. This is the areas we're going to be getting. This is Louisiana Purchase. This is Missouri territory, but Louisiana Purchase is where we're at right now. The Oregon country that we would get from them. And we'll actually reference this back in your next lesson. All right, so learn and target review. So students will be able to explain the results of the Convention of 1818, Adams-Onis Treaty, in order to locate and identify the changing boundaries of the U.S. So Adams-Onis Treaty, right now, just pause the video, I should say, and tell your neighbor what was the Adams-Onis Treaty. Remember the 3 things that came of it. 2 things that America got, the 1 thing that the Spanish got. Pause it and tell your neighbor. All right, so remember that America got East and West Florida, and they got Oregon country, and then the Spanish got Texas. Remember back to this map if you need to reference it. All right. So now now we're moving on to a different learning target. So I would just keep following along with this video. It's all good. All right. So the Monroe Doctrine. So we've still got President James Monroe as president. So Tennessee State Standard 8.33, analyze the purpose and effects of the Monroe Doctrine. All right, so the learning target. Students will be able to analyze the purpose and effects of the Monroe Doctrine in order to analyze the role of the U.S. on the world stage. All right, so the Monroe Doctrine. First thing we're going to start with, what does the word doctrine mean? It's a set of beliefs held by a political party or group. So that's what this doctrine is, and it's named after President James Monroe in order to analyze the role of the U.S. on the world stage. So this is how we're going to be viewed now by other countries. So we've already talked about with the Adams-Onis Treaty, and that had to do with Spain. Now you're going to see other countries. Right, so I see, I think, I wonder. So in this section, I told you earlier in the video that you would be given, in the middle of the video, you would have to deliver right. So I'm going to show you this picture, and I want you to do that. I see, I think, I wonder. So what do you see in this picture? Go ahead and talk to your neighbor. You can go ahead and pause me for about 30 seconds. Talk to your neighbor and write some things down. So pause the video. Right, so hopefully you see, like, us, maybe see, like, you see this child right here, just making fun or picking at these old men, and these old men are like shaking the fist like they want to fight them. So what do you think about this picture? All right. So with this, what do you think? Maybe you think that it's about land. Maybe it's the fence has to do with something. If you notice, though, there's something neat over here. This would be more of what I see, but it is 1902. So this will be another thing. You'll see actually it referenced again. We'll actually talk about that. Other presidents who've actually used the Monroe Doctrine in their presidency as a reference. So lastly, I wonder, what do you wonder about this picture? Last thing, pause me and then talk to your neighbor and write a few things down. Okay. So moving on. All right. So this is not right. So we're going to pause this. Hold on. Okay. So I don't know what happened, but we're at the right one now. So cool. Right, so Europe wants to help Spain. So in 1822, 4 European nations wanted to help Spain regain their land in America. You got France, Austria, Russia, and Prussia. So European involvement in American controls made President Monroe worried. So all these 4 different countries trying to help Spain get land back is making them very worried. They're like, all right, so we can deal with Spain, but these are a lot of other different countries that we're pretty worried about. 3, there was also concerns about Russia's intentions of controlling land in the Northwest. So just so you're tracking this, I'm going to back up. All right, so this is what they mean by land in the Northwest. So they're afraid that they're going to be coming in, that Russia's going to come in and try to take all of it. We're worried that these countries are going to help Spain get their land back, as well as Russia take back or get the Oregon country. All right, so the Monroe Doctrine. So with this, President Monroe issues a statement on December 2nd, 1823. This is what the statement says. Remember that a doctrine is a belief, a set of political beliefs. So with that, the United States would not get involved in the internal affairs or wars in Europe. So they're going to stay out of it. They don't want a war. They're going to stay out of it. They're not going to interfere with any existing European colonies in America. They're like any existing ones. That's it. So North and South America are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for future colonization by any European power. So anything else in North and South America, they've got to stay out. This is it. All right, so the Monroe Doctrine continued. The Monroe Doctrine became known as a clear warning to European nations to keep out of America. So basically, what President Monroe is saying that, hey, stay out of America. If you're not involved in it, if we've established something and this is the line that we've drawn in the sand, this is it. Stay out of America. Do not bother any of the existing colonies that were here. They are now American states. It became a guiding force in American foreign policy in the decades ahead. Presidents who referenced the Monroe Doctrine include the following. You got Theodore Roosevelt. He would go, he's known for speak softly and carry big stick. Ronald Reagan. He's probably one of the most popular presidents, especially the Republican Party. He was president during the 80s, is most close to you. And John F. Kennedy was president during the 60s. That's going to be during the Cuban Missile Crisis. After that, we won't do anything with Cuba. All right, so this is just once again a picture of President James Monroe. All right, so we're going to go back before we hit the bookwork. I want to hit your learning target. So analyze the purpose and effects of the Monroe Doctrine in order to analyze the role of the U.S. on the world stage. So the Monroe Doctrine, like we said, is a belief of a political party. And what President James Monroe says is like, look, any European past colony it's in the past. This America is now, we're our own nation. Stay out of it. Stop bothering us. We don't want a war, but we can go to war if we need to. All right, so bookwork. Now that you've done that, after you watch the video twice, fill in the missing blanks. I'd like for you to read pages 88 and 89, and you should be good for the day. All right, so I do apologize about the confusion with the two videos, but it happens. It is what it is. I usually make a hard copy and then a student copy, but somehow they got jumped. So hope all is well. Hope these videos help. If they're on YouTube, you can watch them as much as you need to. Have a great day.